Hello, my name is Kyle and welcome to the Conservative Take, and this is my second video tonight. This one I wasn't definitely planning on doing, and quite frankly, I'm pretty pissed about it. And if you see behind me, I'm going to remove myself from the screen here. I want you to take a look at this. This is pictures from downtown Greensboro. This is the Woolworth building, which is now the International Civil Rights Museum. And if those of you who are not familiar with the International Civil Rights Museum, it was a museum that was dedicated to 4 North Carolina A&T students: David Richmond, Franklin McCain, Ezel A. Blair Jr., and Joseph McNeil. These are people who, for me, makes this even more personal. You see, I went to A&T, and to have this happen to this museum, to this historical landmark, where countless people have gone to and seen and explored and learned the courage it took for these gentlemen to do what they did on February 1st, 1960. Something that as a student in A&T, you learn about from day one. They put a monument on the campus a few years back, statue, and every 1st of February, we have a ceremony there, and it just dedicates those people. And to me, it's really heartbreaking. What supposedly happened was there was a broken window. I'm going to cover the actual account that's being reported right now in the local paper. So I really want to just talk about that in terms of the utter irony and disgust that I have about this. Because those of you who don't know about this particular museum, it used to be a restaurant. It was a Woolworth restaurant. So these 4 guys on February 1st, I believe they were freshmen, walked down Market Street, which is a street in Greensboro, and sat at the lunch counter at this Woolworth. And they sat there for hours, and people came in, and I believe they came back several times. And this started a mass movement around the country. There have been other sit-ins before, but this was the first one that actually started by college students, and college sit-ins started. And this was like the second phase in the civil rights movement. It's on this front. There were the bus boycotts in the 50s and so forth. But this was something that was really, really important. And here's the deal. For those who know anything about Greensboro and this particular project, it took years and years and years for this money to become appropriated for this museum, for the plans to come out, for it to get funded, for it to get refunded. And it's just a nightmare in terms of it getting to where it was. And myself and my buddy, Lenny McAllister, who you see behind me, he's a radio personality, CNN pundit, and other things he's done. He invited me along with Jesse Jackson and Skip Austin, who is a local representative, city councilman, county commissioner, local official there. We got a private tour with Jesse and Skip, and got a chance to hang out with them all day and talk to them and get a tour of the facility prior to it opening officially. And it was a fantastic experience. I'll never forget it. Even though politically I don't agree, obviously, with those two guys, believe it or not, none of that stuff came up. None of the politics came up. It was a time to celebrate the achievements and the accomplishments of a generation long gone. And for me to do a video at 1:30 at night really, really makes me really upset. Because not only that, the building is going to be repaired. And as you see right now in those pictures, they are repairing it right now. These pictures come courtesy of Yes Weekly. It's a local publication. They're patching it up. But from what I'm hearing from people now, they're telling me that there's other things going on. There's a black business that was torn down and broken into, and shoes were stolen from it. And this is in Greensboro. And so if you're familiar with Greensboro law, you know Greensboro has had a couple of things happen in its past dealing with civil rights, which has not been really good for the city. You can look it up yourself. I'm not going to talk about that because I'm trying to keep this video as positive as I can in the confines that I can. And I'm going to get on the negative side in a minute here. But for the most part, Greensboro has been trying to recoup from the history it's had recently and also back in the 70s of civil rights black marks, stains on the city. And this to me is another one. Now, I don't think it's necessarily as egregious as the other ones. We'll see how time will tell on this particular issue. But here's the thing. To vandalize the International Civil Rights Museum, the birthplace of the college sit-in movement in this country, for a cause that you're calling a civil rights cause or a cause based on racial inequality or whatever you want to call it, it has to do with civil rights because obviously Mr. Floyd's civil rights were violated. That's what people are saying, and that's what they're marching for. And so, and again, I did a video earlier on this, and I said I'm not going to comment particularly on the details of that, but it's a very tragic event. Our cities around this country are burning, and people are being killed, and it's a horrible thing. And I'll speak more on that in the future, but I'm gonna let things play out more. But I mean, come on, guys. Seriously, you're gonna throw well, I'm reading the accounts here in a second. I'm actually, let me do that right now before I get into information that's not exactly what they're saying. So right here, this is from 11 o'clock. It's about 2 hours ago. It says Yes Weekly, and these photos come from them as well. Credit goes to them. So it's approximately 9:40 p.m. Brian Gladen, chair of Minority Affairs at North Carolina's 6th District Democrats, spoke to press while directing a crew taping up broken window of International Civil Rights Center and Museum. Mr. Gladden said that he believed the window was broken by several white men who joined the protest earlier that evening and who told him they were there to screw stuff up. Mr. Gladden said that the museum security camera could find information about these people, and they're going to try and do that. I'm going to paraphrase the rest of it. But anyway, they have it on camera. They say they identified these men, and we're going to see what happens with this. We're going to see if they can come up with the names of these people that did this, and hopefully they can prosecute them. Because what I'm not seeing now is I'm not seeing any prosecutions at all from anybody. I'm not seeing any arrests. Well, there's one. I saw a lady who was, I think she threw a Molotov cocktail into a police vehicle, and she's being charged for attempted murder. Outside of that, I haven't heard anything. But in all fairness, I really haven't been following a lot of this. There's been some arrests. There's been some arrests. Okay, I get that. But what I want to see is some prosecutions. Okay, I want to see some people do some serious jail time on some of this stuff. And we're losing billions of dollars of property across this country. In Minnesota, they burned down a Section 8 housing complex. Seriously? Here in Greensboro, I'm just told, I mentioned earlier, that they broke into a black-owned business and stole some shoes. People, what are we doing? What are we doing? You know, the one event that everyone could pretty much agree on, that this was a bad thing. It looked bad, and there's other things that are coming out of this, but let's just keep in the context of what people are agreeing on, that this was a bad situation. We can all agree that we mourn for this person, their families, the whole thing, this country, everything. And then they screw it all up and do this stupid crap they're doing right now around this country. And any capital that they have stored up is gone, in my opinion. And we're seeing it not only just from me, for conservatives, also from people in the rapping community, hip hop community, from celebrities, from public officials on both sides of the table, Democrat and Republican, are basically disavowing this stuff. But here's the thing. What do you expect is going to happen when you take a situation and you play it up so much in the media? You espouse so much inequality and white privilege and all of this stuff, victimization and scare tactics and all this stuff. Eventually, what do you think is going to happen? And then they stand back and say, oh, we didn't know what's going to happen. Of course you knew what's going to happen. CNN was basically attacked yesterday. And I forget the guy's name. I did a post on it. He was a rapper. Basically, he said, you know what, CNN, you're the ones that are responsible for this. You know, you're playing up the hate and the fear and so forth. You know, so what is going on? And so my thing is this. Again, the irony is that you have a civil rights museum, a national landmark. It was that along with the museum in Memphis, because Memphis was competing with Greensboro. Memphis is where MLK, Martin Luther King Jr. was killed. And at the Lorraine Hotel across the street, that they turned that into a civil rights museum. And so they got the name a National Civil Rights Museum, and we took International Civil Rights Museum, but they were in competition for many years on that. So these two institutions around this country, you know, are pivotal in civil rights era for two different things. And yet you're going to take that and damage it in a way, not only in a way, but also in an event that was meant to be about civil rights. I just don't get it. And so the last thing I want to say is this, the last point I want to make is this, is that when demographics show that Black people as a whole are not leftists, okay? We just aren't. We're conservative in many issues, on Second Amendment, on spirituality, we're free speech, we like economic growth, we like the whole thing about empowerment and all of that. It's a very conservative, we're capitalist in our mind, in our thinking, so forth. And so we have a very, very conservative root base in our community. The leftist side, the radical leftist side, is not part of it. And so when you take that movement and you marry it with this wacko Antifa, leftist, communist, socialist agenda, it blends in and it crosses over. And next thing you know, they're no longer fighting for what they thought they're fighting for. They're fighting for another agenda. And the Democrat Party, I hate to get political here, but I am, has let this particular, I'm going to dog the Republicans out too in a second here, but the Democrat Party has allowed this leftist filth get into the party to the point where it took over their party, as we saw in the election of 2018. And we're seeing it now, midterms. And now we're seeing this now. And so therefore they can't control it, which is why the whole impeachment thing went forward, because Pelosi couldn't handle the AOC, the squad, all of that section of the party, which is kind of taking over the vocal part of it. But also the Republicans were too weak, too cowardly, and were just too, I don't know if they even cared, quite frankly, to deal with the leftist influx that was coming in. They just let it happen. And they didn't want to stand up for the things they want to stand up for. They let Obama do what he wanted to do without stopping him when they could have. And so all of this is to blame. Leftism is what's to blame. The Democrat Party, the Republican Party, in and of itself, back in the day, even as far as 1990, 94, under Clinton, was not a leftist organization. They were just liberal. They thought of things differently. Keynesian economics versus top-down economics, okay? That's all that really was. And some other things with social issues and so forth. But now it's gotten so crazy that the parties cannot even be recognizable now. So anyway, with that, what do you think? It's late. I'm going to go back to watching The Amazing Race reruns. I didn't want to do this, but I have to do this because, again, I am a fellow A&T alumni. I was there at the launch of this, and I was there all along while the money was getting funded and defunded and refunded and the whole thing. When it finally happened, it was such a big celebration in Greensboro, and now we have this mess. It's freaking ridiculous, and I'm pissed off about it. Let me know if you're pissed off about it too. Comment below and let me know. If you like what we do at this channel, we take culture, TV, movies, and we filter it right. This is the conservative take, and let me know. And hit that like and subscribe button and the bell icon and share with your friends. It helps to build the channel. We're trying to span this thing to 10,000 subscribers. So with that, have a good evening, and I will talk to you guys next time.